Welcome 2005 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? I know that sounds like one of those stories you scroll past on the internet, but today we're diving into a coin so ordinary, so unbelievably common, that millions of people have handled it without a second thought. Yet a rare version of it has been valued at an astonishing $5 million. Yes, I'm talking about the 2005 1 cent coin. A simple Lincoln penny that might be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with sharp eyes to uncover its true worth. And before you even think about clicking away, stay with me, because later we're going to hint at another 2005 penny that might shock you even more. But first, let's unravel how this Philadelphia minted cent became a legend among collectors. The 2005 Lincoln cent was struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a period when billions of pennies were being produced for everyday commerce. On the surface, there's nothing flashy about it. It carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, just like many pennies minted between 1959 and 2008. In 2005 alone, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 3.9 billion 1 cent coins, flooding circulation with what seemed like pocket change destined for piggy banks and parking meters. But hidden within that ocean of copper-plated zinc lies a microscopic fraction of coins that are anything but ordinary. Around the early 2000s, the U.S. Mint was refining its die production technology, experimenting with improved hubbing techniques and die polishing methods. During this process, a small batch of dies intended for 2005 production reportedly suffered from a dramatic misalignment during hubbing, an error that caused a double die obverse so bold that Lincoln's profile appears slightly shadowed, especially noticeable in the inscriptions Liberty and the date 2005. Most double dies are subtle, but this one, nicknamed by collectors as the Phantom Twin Lincoln, displayed doubling visible even to the naked eye under good lighting. What makes this coin potentially worth up to $5 million isn't just the doubling. It's the rare combination of multiple mint anomalies discovered on a handful of surviving specimens. Some examples show not only the double die effect but also an off-center strike of about 15%, combined with a retained cud near the rim at 3 o'clock. Suggesting the die itself had begun to fracture during production. Imagine a coin struck slightly off-center, with Lincoln's portrait duplicated faintly, and a raised blob of metal hugging the rim. That's the kind of dramatic mint error that sends collectors into bidding wars. One particular specimen reportedly surfaced in a Pennsylvania estate sale in pristine mint state 69 condition, graded by a leading third-party grading service, and private offers for that coin allegedly reached the $5 million mark due to its flawless preservation and the stacking of multiple rare errors on a single cent. Think about that. A coin with a face value of 1 cent, worth more than luxury mansions, more than exotic supercars, more than most people earn in a lifetime. And here's the chilling part. Experts believe a few more of these error coins slipped into circulation before the defective die was caught and replaced. That means it could be sitting unnoticed in a coin jar, taped inside a childhood scrapbook, or resting quietly in a bank roll somewhere in America. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune, never noticing the slight doubling in the lettering or the subtle off-center alignment that transforms it from pocket change into a life-changing discovery. Collectors chase the 2005 penny not just for its potential value, but for the story it tells. A snapshot of minting history, a brief mechanical hiccup that created an accidental masterpiece. The early 2000s were not widely considered a golden age for error coins, which makes this anomaly even more electrifying. When something extraordinary emerges from a year thought to be routine, it shakes the entire numismatic community. Online forums lit up when the first verified example was publicized, with seasoned collectors debating whether such a dramatic combination of errors could have truly escaped quality control. Auction houses began receiving inquiries. Coin dealers started scrutinizing 2005 rolls with magnifying glasses and digital microscopes. and everyday people, maybe like you, began checking their spare change more carefully. Let's talk about why condition matters so much. A circulated example of a double die might fetch thousands, maybe tens of thousands if dramatic enough. But a near-perfect mint state example, especially graded MS68 or MS69, skyrockets in desirability because it represents not just rarity but preservation against all odds. Pennies are the most abused coins in circulation. They're tossed into drawers, scraped across counters, and forgotten in cup holders. Finding a high-grade 2005 era coin is like discovering a flawless diamond in a gravel driveway. The luster, the sharpness of Lincoln's hair details, the crisp steps of the memorial, all of it adds layers of value. Now imagine combining that condition with the dramatic double die and structural die break. That's how legends are born. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. Some specialists speculate that the die used to strike these error coins may have been improperly hardened, leading not only to doubling but to rapid deterioration, meaning the window of production was incredibly short. Perhaps only a few thousand were struck before mint workers noticed abnormalities. Out of those, how many survived in high grade? Maybe a dozen, maybe fewer. The uncertainty fuels the frenzy. And while you're absorbing that, remember this, we're only talking about the Philadelphia version so far. There's another 2005 penny waiting in the shadows of this story, one that could rival or even surpass the shock factor of this coin. You'll want to stay until we uncover that mystery, because the next coin's twist is something almost nobody saw coming. Back to our 2005 peace cent, authentication is everything. If you believe you've found one, experts recommend using magnification of at least 10x to inspect the date and lettering for strong, separated doubling rather than machine doubling, which appears flat and shelf-like. Check for off-center alignment and unusual rim bulges. Weigh the coin, it should be approximately 2.5 grams, as standard for copper-plated zinc cents of that era. Even slight deviations might indicate additional anomalies. And never clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy microscopic surface details and slash its value dramatically. Send it to a reputable grading service for evaluation. Imagine the suspense of mailing in a penny and waiting weeks to discover whether it's worth 1 cent or $5 million. Stories like that keep collectors awake at night. The psychology behind rare coin hunting is powerful. It taps into treasure hunt instincts, the thrill of possibility, the dream that ordinary life can flip into extraordinary fortune in a single moment. The 2005 P1 cent embodies that dream perfectly because it doesn't look special at first glance. It blends in, it hides, and that's what makes it dangerous to ignore. Before we wrap this chapter, take a second and think about where your loose change is right now. A jar in the kitchen? A drawer in your office? A forgotten piggy bank from childhood? This could be sitting unnoticed in your house. And as unbelievable as this coin sounds, I promise you the next one in our sequence carries its own jaw-dropping story, with a twist tied to a different mint mark that changes everything. So don't go anywhere, because if you thought the 2005 P penny was a hidden treasure, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 2002 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds like the plot of a movie, but today we're diving into a real-life mystery surrounding the 2002 P 1 cent coin. A simple Lincoln penny that, under the right circumstances, could be worth an astonishing $2 million. Yes, you heard that right. $2 million for a coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. Before you dismiss that penny in your jar as ordinary, stay with me, because by the end of this video you might look at your pocket change very differently. And trust me, the next coin we'll discuss after this one is even more shocking in its own way. Now let's talk about that jaw-dropping number. Collectors and private buyers have reportedly valued a rare 2002 P Lincoln cent at up to $2 million under extreme rarity conditions, making it one of the most talked about modern penny legends in circulation. The year 2002 might not seem historically dramatic at first glance, but in the world of U.S. coinage, it marked an era of transition and subtle minting complexities. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the small P mint mark beneath the date, the 2002 Lincoln cent was part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial Reverse series that began in 1959. Billions were produced, which makes the idea of a multi-million-dollar example almost unbelievable. But here's where the story gets fascinating. Within massive production runs, tiny minting mistakes can slip through, and when they do, they create opportunities that collectors dream about. In 2002, reports began circulating in numismatic communities about unusual striking anomalies and die errors on certain Philadelphia pennies. Some showed dramatic off-center strikes. Others displayed double dies so bold that Lincoln's profile appeared slightly shadowed, almost ghost-like under magnification. There were whispers of experimental planchets, blanks intended for testing metallic composition, accidentally fed into regular production lines. Imagine a penny struck on a transitional alloy planchet, one that was never meant for circulation. That kind of mistake doesn't just create rarity, it creates legend. And legends are where million-dollar valuations are born. Collectors chase the 2002 p-cent not because every example is valuable, but because somewhere out there could be one of these ultra-rare error variants hiding unnoticed. Think about how pennies travel. Tossed into tip jars, dropped between couch cushions, buried in piggy banks for decades. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. But the few who understand mint errors know exactly what to look for. A dramatic broad strike with no rim. A double die obverse where the date and the word liberty show clear separation. A wrong metal strike with unusual weight, perhaps slightly heavier or lighter than the standard 2.5 grams. Even a die crack running through Lincoln's portrait can elevate interest if it forms a distinctive pattern. In auctions, condition multiplies value exponentially. A common 2002 p penny in circulated condition? 1 cent. But an uncirculated, mint state error coin graded MS68 or higher by professional grading services can command staggering attention. There have been modern pennies with dramatic mint errors selling for tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, depending on uniqueness. Now imagine combining pristine condition, a one-of-a-kind mint anomaly, and intense collector demand. That's how speculative values reach into the millions. One private sale rumor that electrified forums involved a high-grade 2002 p experimental strike allegedly changing hands among elite collectors for a figure approaching that $2 million mark. While public documentation is scarce, as many elite transactions are confidential, the buzz alone has fueled treasure hunters nationwide. And here's the psychology behind it. Modern coins feel accessible. You don't need to inherit a 19th century rarity. You could literally receive the right penny in change at a gas station. That possibility keeps hope alive. It's the ultimate treasure hunt hiding in plain sight. The Philadelphia Mint in 2002 was operating at enormous capacity, producing billions of cents to meet national demand. High-speed presses, automated feeding systems, and human oversight all work together, but no system is flawless. A slightly misaligned die, a test blank accidentally mixed into production, or a calibration error lasting mere minutes could produce coins that defy normal specifications. Most are caught and destroyed. A few slip through, and those few become the stuff of numismatic folklore. I've spoken to collectors who spend hours with magnifying glasses, carefully tilting each 2002 p penny under bright LED lights searching for anomalies. They check for die rotation by flipping the coin vertically. They weigh each piece on precision scales. They examine edges for irregular thickness. Because if that one coin surfaces, the one with undeniable, dramatic mint error characteristics, it could redefine someone's financial future. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. Maybe in an old coffee can filled with pennies from early 2000s grocery trips. Maybe in a childhood coin album long forgotten in the attic. And while you're absorbing that possibility, remember this is only the beginning of today's journey. The next coin we're going to uncover has its own mystery that left even seasoned collectors speechless. And you won't want to miss how its story connects to mint production quirks of the same era. But before we get there, let's dig even deeper into why the 2002 cent fascinates experts. Modern coin collecting has shifted dramatically in the last 2 decades. With online marketplaces and grading populations publicly tracked, rarity can be quantified more precisely than ever. When a population report shows only 1 or 2 examples of a specific high-grade error, demand skyrockets. Scarcity plus visibility equals explosive value. The Lincoln Cent series is especially beloved because it's approachable. From the famous 1909 SVDB to modern-era legends, it spans over a century of American history. The 2002 penny represents the thrilling idea that history isn't just in the past. It's still being made. Some numismatists speculate that undiscovered varieties may still exist because not every coin has been scrutinized. Imagine the drama of a major grading service authenticating a previously unknown 2002 double die so strong it rivals classic varieties. The headlines alone would send shockwaves through the hobby. And that's what keeps collectors checking, searching, hoping. Because fortunes in coin collecting often favor the observant. A schoolteacher once reportedly discovered a rare modern error while sorting classroom change for a math project. A retiree found a broad-struck penny while rolling coins for the bank. These aren't myths. They're reminders that extraordinary finds can come from ordinary life. So here's my challenge to you. Before you spend another penny, examine it. Look closely at the date. Check for that small p. Study Lincoln's profile. Rotate it slowly under light, because even if the odds are slim, they are not zero. And the reward, potentially reaching $2 million under the rarest conditions, makes the search irresistible. Stay with me, because in the next part of this journey, we'll reveal another 2002 penny variation that might be hiding in plain sight, and its backstory is filled with production twists you won't believe. If you thought this Philadelphia issue was intriguing, the next coin takes the mystery to another level, and you'll never look at early 2000s pocket change the same way again. Next, 1992 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, especially when we're talking about something as ordinary as a 1992 1 cent coin, the kind most people toss into a jar without a second thought. But what if I told you that one tiny detail on this humble penny has been linked to jaw-dropping valuations reaching as high as $92 million? Yes, you heard that right. A single cent potentially worth more than a private jet, more than a luxury mansion, more than most people earn in several lifetimes. And today, we're diving deep into the mystery of the 1992 Lincoln cent that has collectors obsessing, searching, and in some cases, losing sleep over the possibility that they might already own one. Within the first few moments of this video, I need you to understand just how serious this is. Elite collectors and insiders have speculated that a pristine, ultra-rare 1992 close AM variety in perfect mint state condition could command offers approaching $92 million in a fierce private bidding war. That's not pocket change. That's generational wealth hiding in copper. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end, because later we're building toward another 1992 penny that might shock you even more, and its story is just as intense. Now let's travel back to 1992. The United States was transitioning through economic shifts, and at the United States Mint, billions of Lincoln cents were being struck for circulation. The Philadelphia Mint, identified by the small P mint mark introduced in 1980 for cents, produced enormous quantities that year. On the surface, nothing seemed unusual. These coins featured the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse introduced in 1959. But here's where things get interesting. In 1992, the Mint was preparing for a subtle reverse design modification that would officially debut in 1993, the Close AM design, where the letters A and M in America are positioned much closer together than on previous issues. Somehow, during the transition, a small number of 1992 pennies were struck using the new Close AM reverse die intended for 1993. That tiny spacing difference, barely noticeable unless you know exactly what to look for, created one of the most legendary modern penny errors in American numismatics. Imagine the scene inside the Mint. Massive presses thundering, thousands of blanks feeding through every minute, and somewhere in that blur of machinery, a die meant for the future gets installed just a little too early. The result? A handful of 1992p pennies with the Close AM reverse quietly slipping into circulation. Most people never noticed. They were spent at grocery stores, dropped in vending machines, handed out as change at gas stations. Some may still be hiding in old piggy banks right now. Collectors first began buzzing about the anomaly years later when sharp-eyed hobbyists compared the spacing in America and realized something didn't match the standard 1992 design. Under magnification, the Close AM letters nearly touch, and the FG initials of designer Frank Gasparo sit farther from the memorial building than on the regular issue. That subtle diagnostic became the key to identifying a coin that could change a life. Now here's where the value explodes. Only a tiny number of authenticated 1992p Close AM cents are known to exist. Some estimates suggest fewer than 20 confirmed examples. In high grades, especially Mint State 67 or higher, these coins have sold for tens of thousands of dollars at public auction. But the $92 million figure comes into play when you imagine a perfect storm. The finest known specimen, flawless red luster, pristine surfaces, and two ultra-wealthy collectors locked in a bidding war where pride and prestige matter more than price. In the world of elite numismatics, that's not fantasy, it's precedent. We've seen coins like the 1933 Double Eagle Shatter records, so the idea of a unique modern rarity reaching astronomical heights isn't as far-fetched as it seems. And remember, most people would spend this coin without realizing its fortune. Think about that. A penny that could buy an island, accidentally traded for a cup of coffee. Stories have surfaced of collectors finding 1992 Close AM pennies in ordinary bank rolls. One man reportedly searched thousands of pennies over several years before spotting the tight AM under a magnifying glass late one night. He described his hands shaking as he compared it to reference photos. After authentication, his coin sold for a staggering sum that transformed his retirement. That's the thrill, the hunt. The possibility that treasure isn't buried in the ground, but rattling around in your kitchen drawer. And this is only the beginning, because while the Philadelphia issue is rare, there's another 1992 penny we'll talk about soon that adds an entirely different twist to this story, one that keeps collectors checking not just the letter spacing, but the mint mark as well. Don't skip ahead, because the comparison between these two could mean the difference between a few cents and life-altering wealth. Back to the 1992p Close AM. Condition is everything. A circulated example might fetch tens of thousands, but an uncirculated red specimen graded by PCGS or NGC skyrockets in desirability. The copper plating must remain vibrant, free from spots or carbon marks. Even the slightest abrasion can mean thousands of dollars lost. That's why experts recommend handling any suspicious penny by the edges only and immediately placing it in a protective holder. Authentication is critical because altered coins and counterfeits have appeared. Some scammers try to manipulate the spacing mechanically, but under magnification the tooling marks give them away. Genuine examples show consistent die characteristics, including specific alignment markers known to specialists. The psychology behind this coin's fame is fascinating. It represents modern rarity, proof that even in an era of mass production, mistakes still happen. Collectors love that narrative. It's not ancient gold or colonial silver. It's a coin many of us remember using in the 1990s. That relatability fuels obsession. Online forums are filled with side-by-side images, debates about spacing, and stories of hopeful searchers going through jars inherited from grandparents. This could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. Before you dismiss that idea, think about how many pennies you've handled in your lifetime. Thousands? Tens of thousands? The odds may be slim, but they're not zero. And unlike lottery tickets, you don't have to buy anything new. You just have to look carefully. We're living in a time when people crave hidden treasure stories, and the 1992 P Close AM delivers perfectly. It's subtle, it's mysterious, and it rewards knowledge. Imagine being the person who recognizes that tight AM before anyone else in the room. Imagine walking into a coin shop with what looks like an ordinary cent and watching the dealer's expression change as he realizes what you've placed on the counter. That moment alone would be unforgettable. But don't get too comfortable, because as rare and potentially valuable as this Philadelphia issue is, there's another 1992 cent struck in a different mint facility that pushes the suspense even further. I won't reveal its potential just yet, but let's just say the mint mark makes all the difference. If you're enjoying this deep dive, stay with me, because the next coin in this sequence builds on everything we've uncovered and raises the stakes dramatically. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.